Let's be real, life is messy. We all wrestle with loneliness, guilt, and shame.
Having a supportive community and the right resources can make all the difference.
That's why we started Healing Unscripted.
We're just three friends on a mission to bring hope and healing.
Whether you're struggling yourself or walking alongside someone who is,
we're diving deep into the hard stuff.
With insightful guests, real talk,
and a whole lot of heart.
Join us on Healing Unscripted.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Healing Unscripted. We have wrapped up June PTSD Awareness Month, which is so very important. We love our veterans, and we are happy to have Channa here with us today. She is our local Channa.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. She is our local Routt County Veteran Service Officer. So we are happy to have her on the podcast and introduce her to our community that we love. And she came to Routt County, took this new position in January of 25. So you are fresh in this position. And we are so happy to have you here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Liana, and we definitely appreciated having Val, Mike, and Zach and Dawn sharing their personal stories from being in the law enforcement and serving in the military that focuses on stress, trauma, PTSD, and the mental health issues that commonly appear from being in their line of work.
Hey, everyone. I am Laura, and I'm happy to have met with Channa a few, maybe just like a week ago, and you were so excited to get to have this opportunity. And I had to convince her that this mental health is a part of her service that she does for our veterans. So I was like, no, you are meant to be on this show.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely.
So a little bit about her. She is from Israel. She moved to the United States when you were like 16, I think you had said. And then she joined the Army. So she served in the Army for 6 years.
Close to.
She was a paratrooper and a welder.
Wow.
It's really interesting. I can't wait to hear more about your job description in the Army and what you actually did with that. Jumping out of a plane with a welding torch is what I imagine.
Wow.
And I'm sure it probably wasn't that, but that's what in my brain what I see when you told me that. Yes.
That's cool. Very impressive.
So we're so proud of her for serving in our military here. And then thank you so much for coming to Routt County to take on this new job of yours. And we're going to get into that a little bit more about what her goals are, what her job description is. We'll talk a little bit about what she needs from the community. And we'll make sure we hit all of our high points on there. But we did want to start off, we're recording this before the 4th of July. So we had Iran and Israel have just gone back at it. And I was just wondering if you still have family over in Israel and how concerned are you and what's your normal thoughts on that? Whatever you want to share.
Yeah, so I do have a lot of family in Israel. I am one of 7, so all of my siblings live in Israel, and all of them have kids. I have like 20-something nieces and nephews. They live kind of spread out all across the country, and it's been pretty hectic as far as just regular life is not happening. Everybody is in shelters and there's no work, no school.
Are they able to call?
Yeah.
So you were able to communicate with them?
Absolutely. My family, we're all on a WhatsApp group and actually they have more time to be on it because there's nothing to do. So yeah, they're in good spirits. Like most of them put a lot of jokes on there and pretty dark jokes, I would say, because that's just Israeli humor, is to laugh at what's going on.
Right.
But yeah, it's honestly historic as far as growing up. Iran was always out there saying they'd like to wipe us off the map, and here it is. The actual conflict escalated to that, so it's different. It's kind of weird to be living through it in our lifetime. And also it's just the longest war Israel's had since its re-inception, what would you call it? In 1948, Israel became a state again. And ever since there hasn't been such a long war.
Who owned it before that? I'm sorry. I'm going to ask his
Yeah,
questions.
this is like the breadth of the issue here. So, if you look way back into biblical times, there is a lot of mention in the Bible of Jews being in that area, and you can find many historic landmarks. A lot of things were found deep in the ground that are Jewish related. And so historically, Jews have been conquered in that land probably 3 times or so and exiled. So over many, many generations, some Jews have always remained in that area, but most of them were spread across the world. And there's in Jewish religion, in the Bible, in every Jewish holiday, there's always this mention of the Jews wanting to return to Zion. That is really the center of Jewish existence. And so after the Holocaust, even before the Holocaust, in the early 1920s, there was a big Jewish movement in Europe trying to figure out how to make a Jewish state of our own, because Jews, even before the Holocaust, were being killed all around Europe. In Russia mainly, there were what we call pogroms. These were events where Jews were being hunted and entire communities were being killed. And then that actually led to the Holocaust eventually.
Wait, how much before the Holocaust
Oh,
had been going on?
in the late 1800s, Russia was killing a lot of Jews. Russia actually sent entire communities of Jews to a really remote place in between Russia and China to build their railway. So they were like, here's our solution for Jews. We don't want you here. How about you guys go and make your own city and build the railway between China and Russia? And then eventually China came and took over that city that they built and killed a lot of the Jews, exiled them, put them in prisons and war camps. So this is as far back as the 1800s, and then early 1900s, all across the world, actually in a lot of Arab nations, Jews were being killed. This is all documented history, just a lot of people are not aware of it.
Yeah, we focus on the Holocaust.
Exactly. So the Holocaust was really like the end of that,
Mm-hmm.
because for years there was a lot of kind of this indoctrination, is that how you
Yeah.
pronounce that? People were saying a lot of things about Jewish intentions, like the Jews are trying to take over our culture, our business, so Hitler was the one who kind of took it and ran with it and really spread that out and made a lot of people follow that
Made a
belief.
platform from that.
Exactly. So this is actually something that's kind of a repetitive cycle in
Yes.
Jewish history of like how somebody comes and tries to say false things about Jews and people start believing it and then turn against them.
Any race and religion.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how
because it's kind of
hate starts. Exactly. So honestly, for us, we're always saying like, here we go again, because we learn our own history, and it's not like shocking to us that this is going on. But yeah, the recent war definitely sparked some more anti-Semitism, and so there's a lot of conflict over the land, and currently a lot of people will say really crazy things like, you guys came from Europe, go back to Europe, you shouldn't live here. A lot of these kind of things, because Israel was only created in 1948 when the UN decided that, okay, there is a problem here. Jews are being killed in all the different places in the world. So at the time, after the Roman Empire is when the Brits took over, after the Ottoman Empire, the Brits took over the land. So the land that is now Israel and some other areas around it were actually owned by Brits and French. And yeah, and up until 1948, it was British mandate. That's what it was called. So there were Jews and Arabs living in that area, and neither were allowed to own their own weapons, etc. It was British rule. And then a lot of Jews were migrating to the area because they were escaping Europe and other Arab nations. At the same time, people don't realize that during the Holocaust, Hitler actually made deals with Arab nations to also kill Jews. They were trying to gather all the Jews into one place. So they were actually, I mean, this was actively happening. There's plenty of documented history.
People, all they have to do is open there.
Google now.
Google it.
So
Yeah.
there was a group of really active Jews that were saying, let's figure this out. Let's build our own state. And they approached the UN with a decision, and the UN voted that, yeah, the Brits should hand over the land back to the Jews. And there was a lot of talk about how to divide it because there was also a lot of Arabs in the area. So they struck a deal. It was pretty close to even, half and half land. And the Arabs said no. They didn't agree to the deal. And the day after the deal was signed, several countries around the area went and attacked the Jews. So that's what really started this massive conflict, because the nations around Israel, there's all of them are Arab. Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon.
Iraq.
Iraq is kind of like a little farther, but they all came and attacked. So it's, I think, 5 armies, if I'm not mistaken. And they gave heads up to the local Arabs to leave their homes, and they'll be able to come back when the war is over to bigger lands, etc. Well, they failed, but a lot of Arabs lost their homes because they left, and understandably, Jews didn't trust any of them, so they weren't allowed to come back. And that is what caused this massive conflict, because a lot of Arabs were displaced. Jews won the war and took over the entire land, as opposed to what was supposed to be 50% of theirs.
Right.
They just conquered the rest of it by war. So ever since, the Arabs call it the Great Disaster in Arabic. They have their own term for it, but that's pretty much what started their organized hate towards Jews and trying to just eradicate Jews. So ever since then, really, there's been conflicts, never-ending conflicts with small Arab militias, which we call terrorist groups, trying to kill Jews. And here we are.
Over a
Still
piece of
happening.
land
Over the 50-50 split.
that you said
Yeah.
was how big?
It's like the size of New Jersey. So
Yeah, so
tiny.
this land to
Yes.
abolish a whole nation
And people.
and
Yeah.
people, because and then when they get the land, what?
But
did
because
they
their
win?
plan didn't
I
work
mean,
out
like,
is what happened.
Yeah.
So now they're
Yeah.
mad.
I know,
It's great
I
hearing
know
your side of the
everybody-
story.
Yes, and
It's crazy.
tell me how
Yeah.
it's been for you, like being from Israel and like here, but serving with the army here and giving your time and commitment and service here. But then, how do you get treated sometimes when the people find out that you're from Israel?
Yeah, so I never felt really aware of hatred towards Jews or Israelis, because when you grow up in Israel, you're surrounded by everybody's the same as you. We definitely have, there's 2 million Arabs in Israel that live in Israel happily. And we are aware, I mean, we are very open and happy to have everybody live in peace together. So in your little existence, you don't understand that there are people out there that maybe don't like that, and that's not something they agree with. I didn't understand how much there was out there a lot of misinformation, a lot of hate towards Israelis and Jews. And then recently, after the October 7th attack on Israel, I was honestly shocked by the response. I had friends who I'd known for years. They never really thought of where I'm from or my ethnicity or culture. And then when this thing came into the headlines, all of their misinformation and this like preconceived notions of Jews, suddenly people who discovered, oh, wait, you're from there, your family lives there, they stopped talking to me. Some people just, wow. And some people said really crazy things to me. I've had a lot of terrible experiences since then. And
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry too. I feel like this is false media.
yeah, I
Or
think,
only one side of the story
Or
is being
ignorance.
heard to. Well, I feel like we had this conversation with Morgan about media wanting to be fear-based. And that is exactly what they succeeded in.
I
sad.
agree, yeah, because it's kind of silly. Like if you know somebody and you know they're a good person, then
Absolutely.
why would I be telling you anything that up until now you believed in me and wanted my company? Why now suddenly different?
Horrible.
It goes against logic, really. So
It does.
It makes me sad. And I just realized over the last couple of years that you have to do your best to keep being that good person, regardless of what people believe in their heads,
Right.
because I'll set the example and
Absolutely.
eventually that shows, right? So
Right.
And you're such an important part of this country. You served for this country and now in this community. I mean, you have such value. I hate
you.
to think that anyone was ever ugly to you or mistreated you in any way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just
I
sad.
feel like a lot of that's going around right now. We're in that time where, I mean, because, you know, my family comes from Mexico, and it's the same way about the Latino culture right now is, and it's
yeah, wow.
we've been a
But
part
it's
of
false- it's
America
like
for
false
so
news.
long, and now all of a sudden now it's
Yeah.
oh, take action, and it's wild what's happening.
Yeah.
But I love this, and I love being able to have conversation about it, and like unfiltered, unbiased, just what people and humans should be able to do is communicate and listen to one another with love and compassion for all capacities. So I really appreciate you clarifying a bunch of that, because I really didn't know. I didn't know any of that. So you're very educational for me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me.
Can you share more about your time in the service and
Yeah.
what your role and duty was in the service?
Yes. Did you jump out of a plane with the welder torch in your hand?
We need clarification on this.
Oh my goodness.
Are you like Mission Impossible?
Oh, I wish. I mean, sometimes I miss it. Like yesterday I was at the Halcyon concert and there was a SWAT team and I was like, oh my gosh, that looks so fun. Like I want to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't miss all the heavy equipment.
Yeah,
like,
you're a tiny person.
Yeah, it's so heavy. So when you jump out of a plane, definitely if it's a combat jump, they call it, you're fully geared. So you're with your rifle and you have your rucksack. It's like this big backpack.
Yep.
Heavy.
You rig it onto like the between of your legs and it hangs and then you have to release it before you land. So it's like you don't land with it. So it drops even lower below you and it's just kind of like hanging there on this big string and it sways you everywhere. Anyway, back to the plane.
Interesting.
No, this is fun.
No, we like it.
This is craziness. But I joined when I was about 21, 22-ish. I was almost 22.
And why did you join? Like what?
So when I came to the U.S., I was 16. It was kind of a time in my life where I wasn't sure if I was going to stay in the U.S. And I ended up deciding when I was 18 to stay in the U.S. So I got my GED.
Okay, wait, but your parents stayed?
My parents
came on your own?
I came on my own. My
Oh.
sister lived in New York. She was in college. She's 9 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
I was having some trouble in Israel. My parents lost custody of me. This is a whole nother story, but I was on my own. Yeah, I was on my own when I was 16 and decided to come to the US because some of my older siblings were living in New York. So my parents have American citizenship, so that makes it kind of easy because I was born with my citizenship. So it was kind of like, oh, let me see if I can do something better with my life, be closer to my siblings. So my sister and I shared an apartment in Brooklyn, and she was in college and I was just working. Then I started going to school, so I got my GED when I was like 17-ish. And I started college actually before I was even 18, but my English was not good, believe it or not. I could barely follow.
I
So
would have never guessed that, honestly.
it was really hard to sit in class, and if they didn't write things out on the board, if they just were giving a lecture, I would miss a lot of little things that were important. So I couldn't really follow along, and I really like sciences. So I was taking chemistry, and then every time they would talk about like math, like algebra in chemistry, I couldn't understand the words because if I didn't see it, it's like, who learns those words?
Yeah.
I mean, math is hard
Multiplication.
enough on its
So-
own.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Jeez.
even if you know basic English, if you never learned math in English,
Right.
it's just these gaps you never imagined you would have. But I did. So I was struggling and I didn't want to ruin my GPA and whatever. So I quit college after 2 semesters and decided to just go have fun, go work, have fun, and see if I can go to college later in life. So I moved from New York to Hawaii. And
What?
Okay.
yeah, I was like, I want to surf. I always wanted to learn how to surf. And I was like a surfaholic. I surfed like 8 hours a day.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
cool.
And
Had you
worked
done
at
that
night.
before?
No.
Okay. So it was a
So-
whole new thing.
Yeah. So that's when I started meeting people from the military because there's a
Yes.
lot of service members in the islands. So a lot of them were surfing. A lot of guys that I met in the water were military. And I was just like, wow, I get along with these kind of people, similar mindset. And I was like, this could really suit me. And I had a neighbor who was in the Army. He was a sergeant and he was also airborne. And we used to go on runs together. We used to go jogging on the beach. And he started talking me into like, you should definitely sign up. You do so good. This is the right culture for you. So it motivated me. And crazy enough, when I went to sign up, I took my ASVAB test and I scored pretty good. So I had all these options. And the recruiter sat with me and went over like this list of what's available for job wise. And he's like reading the list. And then I remember he said, you could be a plumber. And then he said, you could be a welder. And I was like, whoa, I love doing stuff with my hands. And that sounds awesome. I said, let me be a welder. And he goes, well, just one thing. It comes with a slot for airborne school. So you have to be airborne. Like you have to go to jump school. So I was like, okay. So I did
Sounds even better.
Yeah. So I just
Surfing the waves, jumping in the air.
crazy. Yeah. So I went for it, signed up, and did basic training, went to airborne school. I did a lot of research on my own, kind of like, what is it going to be like? And also I had friends who were already in. So I had a lot of good insight into how to succeed through it, and lucky because I saw a lot of people struggling. And airborne school is insane. You go for 3 weeks in Georgia, Fort Benning, and they always have way too many people sign up. But
Knowing.
Knowing they're not all going to.
That
yeah,
they're not
so
all-
they
yeah.
weed a lot of people out, and they have
Mhm.
all kinds of ways to do it. And it's really like a big mind game. It's very mental, and a lot of people don't pass. They don't survive it.
Mhm.
And I
wouldn't.
I remember just starting off. There's all these barracks, right? There's a bunch of men's barracks, and there's only one women's barracks, and everybody sleeps together. It's like this one massive room with a bunch of bunk beds, and you could just choose whichever bunk bed you want. And every day there's less and less females in there. And we ended up just 3 at the end of the course. Yeah. So it was me, a girl that I still talk to all the time. Her name is Lucy. And a woman that was from Iraq who was an anesthesiologist. She was a major. She was already like in the military for quite a while. She was in the Army. I think she was based in DC in the hospital there. And they sent her to airborne school. I don't know why. And she made it. I mean, she could barely speak English, and we got along really well. So, and she was like in her 40s, which is incredible.
Cool.
Yeah.
We could do it, Jen.
Oh my gosh.
Barely.
They make you.
You guys are always almost past the cutoff.
It's a really hard school. They make you run everywhere you go. You're not allowed to walk. So like you're done eating, you get up, and if you exit the building, you better be running. You have to jog. Like that's the thing about airborne. They're runners. You can run forever. And when you're stationed in a base that's airborne, that's like the main activity. You go on a Monday morning for a 10-mile run, and you have to keep up with all the formation. It's insanity. So like people pee themselves and still go.
I'm like, do they train? So they must train you guys how to run, or do they just say
you just better make it? Yeah, and you gotta sing as you're like
running
cadence. Yeah.
I love these stories because it's so. My son just got put in an infantry unit, but it's with an airborne.
Yeah,
and his first
that's what I thought. His group probably.
Yeah, so it's just like the first month there, he was like, it still feels like boot camp. That's all I do is run. And then they make me carry stuff and run, carry a heavier bag and run. And I'm like, this is part of the training. What else did you do in the service? Did you ever?
Were you deployed?
Yeah. No, I never got deployed. So I got really lucky. Actually, it was one of the things that it was so interesting. I moved between units, and every time I was placed in a new unit, they were just coming back from deployment. So I served with a lot of people who just came back. I was constantly in a unit that just came back and was they sort of disband units, or like they restructure whenever they come back from deployment. So they mix people up with like put people in some other units. But
what's the purpose of that?
I think it's just technicalities. Like some people need to leave the service. Some people need to recover from something. So it's like there's a restructuring. It's just
rather
the
than
natural.
everyone recovering at the same time.
Yeah, like they kind of start restructuring the unit when they come back. So I think one of the things that was always awing to me as somebody who wasn't deployed with these guys, but grew up in a combat zone, I always was thinking, like, to myself, how insane it has to be as a soldier in the U.S. Like, let's say you grew up on a farm and you know nothing about that culture, what it's like to be in a zone like that in the world, and then you get just plopped. So I think, in my experience, having that kind of PTSD is a lot harder than if you grew up in this kind of area. You understand maybe the culture of your enemy slightly better. You're kind of more prepared for what's coming, as opposed to you have no idea, and then you just get transferred to this crazy place in the world and
Culture shock.
Yeah, so it's culture shock and combat. So I had a lot of experience, unfortunately, with suicides. A lot of suicides in the units I was in, from people coming back. Really, that's really hard, because you feel like, as somebody who wasn't deployed with them, you are almost an outsider to their pain, and there has to be a lot of relationship building in the unit. But these people are in a different place in their head, and it's obvious. So it's hard. It was really hard in a different way, my service. So I wasn't deployed, but I was seeing the results of deployment all the time. And there was one guy that was a welder in my squad who committed suicide. And it was just, it's something that always stays with me.
Yeah.
Because I can't really put words around it, but you just don't know that it's coming. Even though you know the person is suffering, it always is a shock. It's always like,
You're never
you're never going to, exactly. So it's just sad. Like, you replay all your conversation with the person. I mean, I was on duty with this guy so many times, like 24-hour duty. We have these different shifts. I mean, I saw him every day, and then suddenly one morning he shoots his head at a Walmart parking lot, you know? So it's hard. You come out of that kind of a little world of what the military is like into civilian life. It's still really hard to readjust because you're in a different place than the rest of the society.
Yeah. Who don't understand.
Yeah, so it's a different culture, and it just, yeah. So
Is that how you came about this particular position that you're in now? Like, was it the passion? Did you stay in government roles after you were finished with your service?
So I never ever imagined that I'd be a veteran service officer. It's not something that I actually knew anything about.
Okay.
And
Did you know about it when you exited the Army?
no,
Okay.
which is kind of also, it gives me insight into how important it is to make it known, because nobody told me this existed, and it could have helped me a lot.
Yeah.
So I left the service, went back to school like I wanted to. I got an undergrad in neuroscience and behavior.
Very
And-
cool. You're getting cooler by the minute. Wow.
So
Yeah, I'm not worthy to sit here anymore. I think I'm going to exit the building.
Jeez.
You're pretty
Yeah.
badass.
Neuro what?
Yeah.
neuroscience. So I loved it. It was super fun to go back to college while I understood what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was hard to go back to college after the military. Absolutely. And we
I've heard
talked
this from
about
so
that.
many people.
Oh,
though.
yeah. It's
When you're going back with these kids who just have no care in the world,
Yeah.
and you have been through it all,
And you're like,
and
do you know
what's
what I just
important,
went
and you're
through for
focused.
you little shit?
no, they don't.
It's like the discipline and the way of life. And then, but also like,
And the whininess.
yeah, but you get these like mixed feelings because you're like, well, this is why we do the military. So these kids could just live their life. So you're like, okay, I don't relate to you, but also great that you're living this careless life. Like, that's what it's about. So yeah, there's a lot of mixed feelings. So I went to college. And then after my undergrad, I took a little break. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do with my degree. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into the medical field. Like, I have a lot of different interests, so it was hard to narrow it down. Took a little break and found public health, which is something I never really knew existed.
That was my degree too.
Shut
What? No, it wasn't. Neuroscience?
No.
public health.
Public health.
Yes.
I'm so
Oh, we have a lot to
Poor
talk
Jen.
about.
Did you see how surprised she was that you were in neuroscience? That's just me.
I was shocked.
Damn.
That is so funny.
I'm in the sciences.
I love that. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So really what drew me
Sorry,
to
I've
it,
never heard anyone else say that they had.
I have
They
a-
were interested.
so now I have a master's in public health.
I didn't make it that far. Okay.
I mean, I wish I knew about
Cooler.
public health for my undergrad, honestly.
Yeah, that was my undergrad.
And the reason I was so into it is because, when I was in the military, there was an obvious disconnect to me how you're getting fed essentially trash at the DFAC or like the dining facility, and you're not getting any mental health support in the service, but you're expected to perform super high level, but there's no back structure to it. So like there was always this weird, I wanted to go back and work maybe like as a GS or something like that and mend or change the way they look at nutrition and education around mental health and maybe around readiness as far as like your body and mind together. Like there's just no talk about that in the military. And I think it's just a big gap, right? Like I used to be in shock. These guys would come 5 a.m. formation. You're about to go do whatever crazy exercise you don't even know. Like they just tell you last minute, okay, go bring your rucksack. We're going to go on a rock, go whatever. And these guys are over there with their Mountain Dew and their Monster and a cigarette. And like, how does that all work? Like, but nobody talks about it. Nobody says, you know, have you thought about maybe like taking better care of your body because you'll feel better?
Yeah.
A lot of people are, they're so stressed, but they don't help themselves with the rest of it. So that was really where my mind was a lot. And like, how can I and also getting into civilian, a lot of chronic disease and all these issues that stem from people's lifestyle and choices, but they don't know there's other choices. Like,
Right.
so I didn't know public health existed. And then I was like, oh my gosh, public health, this is what addresses these like people's choices and why they choose and like their built environment and what their education was like. So I got into public health, and as I was going through my master's, I started working on a lot of human services related jobs because that was my interest. So I worked in Denver for the city of Denver doing different kind of federal nutrition programs, and I was just fishing around, feeling out what I thought maybe would most be fitting to me, just doing different kind of roles while I was in my master's program. And it was hard to narrow it down. Like I was getting all kinds of experience, but I wasn't sure where really my passion was or where I was best fitted based on my skills. So I ended up leaving Denver, just a technical, more of like, I don't want to live in the city, and also super competitive to find a job that I wanted to do once I got my master's. Moved up here, and long story short, see the VSO job in the newspaper.
Huh.
And I mean, it falls under human services. So I think I was like, let me apply and see what it's about. And I started doing research about what VSOs really do. And the more I looked into it, the more I was like, wait, this is a great fit. Because you're an advocate for veterans, but I also understand a lot of human services aspects. And I'm a very good coordinator, really. It's like you have to be kind of good at reaching out to people cold to try to get them help, like get help for people through different
Avenues.
Exactly. And connecting all, like just seeing a big picture and being able to connect things together and not being afraid to like think outside of the box of how might you help people achieve something.
Sounds like you're the perfect person for this job.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
I
Just
love
your
it.
background, your education, all of it.
So I think, all the roads led to this, and I'm super happy that it came to this. I think all of my previous experience gained me the access to get this job. And lucky me, the person who is now my supervisor probably saw that. And I didn't even realize it, but she realized that all of my other experience would translate really well to this job.
Yeah.
And now I see it. And it's been really awesome to discover every week we have all these different new scenarios. And I'm like, there's so much to learn. And this is something that you can do for the rest of your life and not be bored. I'm not bored at my job. There's always more to learn, different ways to explore how to get somebody what they need from the VA or from the community or from human services. I can go into details if you want.
Well,
Yeah,
what are
that was-
veterans coming to see you mostly for?
Yeah.
So that's where it gets really interesting. So VSOs, in all technicality, my job is to file claims for veterans, benefits claims for disability.
That's your main role.
Yes.
Okay.
So what that really means is that, let's say you came out of the service and it could be a year later, it could be 10 years later, you're struggling, you have some kind of ailment, a physical disability, a mental disability, and it's all connected to your service. then you can go and file a claim at the VA and say, I am struggling right now. This is what the disability is doing to my life. And I have to help them build a claim, almost like I'm their lawyer. I have to gather information from them and direct them on how they can prove to the VA that whatever they're struggling with now is connected to their service. And then the VA has very technical ways to grant them a percentage of disability. So I have to understand that and understand how to go about the person's claim in order to get them the right decision. It's very complicated. It sounds maybe a little simple,
No.
but
No, it's a government process.
yeah.
So
There's
makes
nothing
sense.
simple
Yeah.
about that.
Exactly. So you have to understand medical terminology. You have to understand how to also deal with that specific person to help them navigate the situation. It's very stressful. Let's say you come to me and you don't know the extent of what is available to you, then you don't tell me what you know about your own issue. Sometimes people just tell me half the story because they don't think the rest is relevant.
Right.
So I have to learn how to get the most out of my client.
Read between the lines.
Exactly. Explain to them best what the process is going to be like so that I can try to make sure they bring everything to me that they can to support their claim. That means their medical records. That means if they can remember like a date and time in their service that something happened. And sometimes these are events that are difficult to revisit. So I have to be aware of all these different things while I'm talking to somebody. And then you have to build their claim and gain their trust that what you're doing is, sometimes they don't understand the little technicalities and why I'm asking for certain things. And a lot of times it's very personal information. So it's just
And then they have to be patient because it's like 6 months to a year.
yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
to build this. So you're not
Yes.
just meeting with them once and ignoring them. You have to do all this research basically. It's like you do research.
Exactly. You're right.
Because you had explained that
Well,
to
you're
me
a
about a
one-man
case as
show.
well. Is that she'll have to do research to find if she can find other people who have been proven to say a claim from maybe that same scenario, or if they were
Yes.
based in that same place, or they were there that same year and had the
Mhm.
same condition.
Like
that they are
connecting
going
all
through.
the dots.
Yeah.
And every
there's-
county has someone that's doing this for our vets.
Yes.
Every county in the U.S.
Okay,
has to have a
has
VSO.
someone,
Okay.
like as in one person, are you the only person in this county that does this?
Yes. So
But that's not normal for like bigger counties, right?
correct.
Okay.
Bigger counties like, let's say, Denver,
Mhm.
Jefferson County, they have 2 VSOs or even more.
Which
Denver,
doesn't
hopefully.
even seem
No.
like a lot.
Denver, I think they have more than 2, but so they split their work in kind of expertise,
Nice.
pools, which is awesome. Like not every person can be an expert in the same line of type of claims. So that's what is interesting about our county is they're estimating, these are estimates based on VA healthcare system, that we have maybe 1,200 veterans in our county. I believe there's more because this number comes from whoever registered for VA healthcare.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
There are
Which is
plenty.
like a
Who does?
third.
What's the percentage that actually
I
registers?
think it's like
So that's what I would love to find out, and I'm working on.
How are
And
you working on that?
So I put out a survey because I want to know what veterans really want in our county, what kind of services they think are the least attainable in our county, and what kind of help they would need. I put out a survey. It's on our website, the county's website, VSO page. And the survey asks, the first question is, are you a veteran? And the second question is, are you registered with VA healthcare? Because that will kind of help me build my case when I write a grant to say, yes, it says our county has 1,200 veterans, but that's just the ones that are in VA healthcare. I put out a survey, and out of X amount of veterans replied to my survey, this many said they're not in VA healthcare. So based on that, we can also estimate, a certain added percentage actually of more veterans who didn't answer my survey. So that's how I'm going about it. And I think there are a lot more veterans in our county that I'm not seeing because they don't know about this available service to them.
And that it's free.
Yes. And also, we're a rural county. So some people just live in the middle of nowhere out here and they're doing their thing. So I get to see most of the veterans that come to my office are veterans that heard about me from maybe the Veterans Center or somebody in town that knows of this service. And a lot of the veterans I see come in and ask for healthcare related things. Like, I need to sign up for healthcare because I don't have money, I don't have insurance, and I need something. So I'm trying to figure out if I'm eligible for VA healthcare. Some of them come to me, they already have VA healthcare and they're just not sure how to navigate it. Like,
It's a lot.
we're in the middle of nowhere. The closest VA hospital is Grand Junction.
I know.
And if you wanted to see a mental health professional, an eye doctor, okay, you have VA healthcare. Now, how do you
Access
exactly?
in our
So
town.
if you want to go to just any doctor, you can't. You have to navigate whether it's available to you through VA community care, we call it. It's a very complicated process, and some people, they are in all kinds of stress. Some of them just don't have the capacity, the bandwidth to navigate it on their own. They just give up.
Yeah.
So they'll call me and see if I can help them with that. It's not really something that's within my job description per se, but I would love to help them with it. So I'm trying my best to educate myself on the process, but I would love to find a way for us to have maybe a VA healthcare navigator or something of that sort. So I'm hoping that people answer the survey. And if I see in the categories that I put into the survey, I essentially covered everything and they can select all if they want. I put maybe 8 categories of things that you might want in your life, any person, really. So do you need health navigation or access to healthcare? Are you looking for legal help? Are you looking for help finding a job? Are you looking for wellness or nutrition services? Are you looking for support groups or veteran recreation? Or essentially, I put everything that I could think of. I used AI to help me come up with any kind of whatever it is that is out there that a person might want in their life. I added it as a category. And I'm hoping people answer. And based on their answers, I'll be able to put forth a good grant proposal. The state has great grant opportunities for veterans. And the most important part about this is the grant that I'm looking at applying for, it's only available to very specific entities to apply. So the money is there. And if you do a good job at applying, then you're pretty likely to get the grant. And especially for our county, the grant itself states that if you're going to serve rural veterans or anything to do with mental health, then you're at the top of the list for grantees.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
We need the survey filled out.
Exactly.
Gentlemen.
Okay, so I was curious, how are you getting your survey out and how can we help you with putting your survey out for you to get more people to participate?
Well, I super appreciate that, first of all. The survey is currently published on the Routt County website. So if you navigate to the veterans page on the Routt County website, you will see the survey right at the top of my page. The other thing I could do is I'll send you a link so you can put it on your podcast. Thank you.
Perfect.
And I'm working on putting out paper versions of the survey in the smaller parts of Routt, in like the Clark store, in the community center, with a little drop box for some of the people who might not be so technologically apt. And I do have a QR code that I've been kind of pinning around town, and I have some coworkers who put some up in Hayden for me and in Oak Creek. So I'm trying to get it as accessible really to everybody as possible. On July 4th, the Veterans Center is going to open its doors, which is really exciting. And I hope to have paper copies there and the QR. And I'm really hoping that will bring a lot of answers to my survey, because that is a veteran area. Like that is where they're going to
The
come.
hub.
Everybody's going to want to come see it, I hope.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that soon my survey is going to get a lot more replies. It's been getting some. And
But we want everybody.
I want as many responses because it's going to help us so much in making a good proposal for a grant if we have real data from the veterans who are going to be served. And I have some experience with grants, but the county has amazing resources for grant writing.
Right.
So all we need is your responses, and I think we should be able to secure some funds to do whatever it is the veterans need in this county.
Important.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
So what kind of vets are reaching out to you on average? Just a question. Are we talking about, I'm thinking my dad's age range, he was Vietnam, or that Afghanistan, or the Iraq, Saddam, like or new vets. Who's coming to you the most?
So the first type of veterans that were coming the most are the kinds that sit around and chit chat. So the older guys, because they have the word of mouth. Hey, there's a new VSO. And so I get a lot of Vietnam era veterans, Korean War, believe it or not, the forgotten war for real. I've learned so much history from these guys. It's been awesome. Like they sit and tell me stories. But yeah, so the older guys were the first to come and ask for my services, and I'm super glad. Actually, Moffat County does not have a VSO, so I get a ton of Moffat County veterans that already started a claim. There's a lot of people that are mid-claim, either on their own or previous VSO left, and they're kind of hanging. So the first surge was these kind of guys that had a lot of stuff already going. Different kind of hard work because you have to learn their cases. And then recently I've been starting to see some of the younger vets, and I'm really glad. It's a totally different conversation. They're around my age, right? And yeah, so I've been learning new skills in my job of how to approach what common types of claims, right? You learn one kind of claim. Now it's a whole different story with the younger guys. And they're slowly coming through. People are hearing that there's this service. And I just want to mention, now that we're talking about it, I've had some younger guys come in telling me that they've paid for some service or the other. And it's actually illegal to charge veterans. These are predatory businesses. So if any veteran is getting charged for anything to do with VA claims, yes,
Stop now.
This is why the VSO position was created by the government, because during way back when World War I was over, this is when veterans were coming back injured, all kinds of issues. And even back then, they were being scammed. And that's what, different lawyers.
That's disgusting.
Exactly. So that's why the government decided they're going to create this position to permanently offer veterans the service they deserve for free. So if anybody ever wants to charge you for anything related to your benefits, VA benefits, absolutely not.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you
Stop.
for
Don't
pointing that
pay.
out. That is
So
huge.
what's the waiting time like then, since there's just one of you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
realistically.
Great question. So I work Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday at my VSO job. And the rest of the week, I'm in a different position with the county. So if somebody reaches out to me by phone, I try to make a return call the same day. The max amount of time I'm allowed by law to reply to them is 72 hours. Like I can't go past the 72 hours, that's the expectation. So you should expect something back from me, either an email or a call or something. And if somehow you slipped between, if I messed up,
well, because she's part-time.
yeah, it is
Human.
hard. When I come back from the weekend, from the little break, I usually have somewhere like 4 or 5 voicemails, a few emails. I make it my job to first go through all of that, reply to everybody back, and try to get them scheduled if they want to come in, or address, even just say, hey, I got your message. Just something. So if you somehow slip between the cracks, I'm really sorry. A, and B, please reach out again. Remind me it wasn't intentional.
Right.
That's what I really want to put out there.
So what if we have this big surge of vets that want these services? How will you cope with that kind of flood?
I'm trying to do my actual work, the behind the scenes work for cases, but people are walking in because my office you can walk in anytime. I'm at the lobby floor of our building, and you're welcome to come in anytime. Sometimes I get interrupted and people come in unannounced. Great. I love it. I'm always very happy to have anybody in my office. But it kind of, it could set me back. So that's where my time management skills shine because I'm really good at managing my time and trying to get everything done for every claim as timely as possible. You come to me and you say, I want to file a claim. What we do is we initiate an intent to file. I put in a piece of paper with the VA that tells the VA that the veteran wants to file a claim, and it holds their claim date, which is cool. So that's the stamp. If you get granted your claim, they'll pay you to that date.
Oh,
That's awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, so that's
Good.
super important. So if you're even thinking about it,
Do it.
and
because
exactly, and
yeah,
you're not
that's-
sure, it doesn't hurt. We'll put in the intent to file. You're holding a date, and it gives you time, a whole year. They give you a whole year to go gather your evidence. That's also what delays a lot of it. But the good thing is, like I said, the intent to file is in. So even if you're hesitating, just do that step. Just come in. We'll do it. I do it on the spot. There's no wait for that.
Well, it definitely starts with someone like you
Yep.
to take all this on and then work beyond what your job description is. And that takes a certain kind of person who's actually passionate. And thank you for doing that, because sometimes people just show up and do their jobs, which isn't not a bad thing, but it's going to take this and extra, and like what we're trying to do here by spreading the information of how to do this.
Hopefully, with this survey that we're going to be putting out, your caseload is going to increase. Sorry about that,
Amen.
but that's the goal. That's the whole reason why we're talking about it today. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all you do for our community. You're so important. She's super cool. And we've really gotten to get to know you better and even hear some history, current
very
status of affairs in our world. And we appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that as well.
Thank you.
If you want to email her directly, it's cweissman@colorado.rout.co.us. So that's cweissman@co.rutt.co.us. And her direct line is 970-870-5469. So if you know anybody that can use this service, please spread the word.
I'm so glad that I called you up and you said, yeah, I actually have heard of you guys. And I think I would at least like to talk to you guys. And you do so much for our community, and you've only been here such a short time, but your passion, and I think I'd like your gusto to go after this and get it for our service members. Your heart is just so big. And yeah, I appreciate you sharing your whole story and your background. And we're thinking and praying for you and your family and for all of our military members and government, that everyone stays safe and that we could all be kind and gentle to those around us, because we are all humans and our job is to be loving and to caring for each other. So let's continue that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks you all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.